Okay, let's go ahead and draw a diagram here. Here, draw a rectangle with 10 boxes. Wow, I was going to say as evenly as you can, but I messed that up. Okay, we'll leave it like that. And once you get that, just shade in 4 of them. Okay, shade in 4 of them, and they're supposed to be equal, but it's just an illustration here. 4 of them. Okay, this rectangle can be represented in 3 ways. Somebody give me one number that describes this rectangle. Give me one number that describes this rectangle. Of shaded to total. Yes?
4 over 10.
Good. And we won't reduce that. We'll just leave it 4/10. That's a ratio, right? 4 over 10. That's a fraction. What would that reduce to if we wanted it? 2/5. Okay, good. Can somebody give me another type of number that describes that same rectangle? Annie? 40% is shaded. Very good. 40% is shaded. That is correct. And give me a last number, a final number that we can use to describe that. Yep.
0.4.
Yeah, and I'll put 0.4, 4/10. Okay, how many of you agree that 4/10, 40%, and 4/10 all describe the same thing? Okay, if these all describe the same thing, what do you know about these 3 numbers? They are equal. You can put and you can say that they are exactly the same thing. Even though they don't have the same symbols and they don't always look the same, they are the same. They have the same value. They're equivalent. You guys okay with that? Okay, what we're going to deal with today is that we're going to deal a lot with percentages, and we're going to convert them into either fractions or decimals, but we're actually going to make it easier for ourselves. How many of you think that changing 4/10 into 40% was easy? How many of you think that's kind of easy? Okay, how many of you think that changing 4/10 into a decimal is pretty easy? Good. Are these conversions pretty easy? Going back and forth? Good. I want to deal with easy, especially when we're estimating. Okay, let's go to example number 1 then. And let's see how this would work. Example number 1. And they give us A, B, C, and D. Okay, read the instructions on example number 1. It's one word. And it says to estimate. So do I actually get the actual answer on these problems? And the answer is no. I want to estimate. And they're asking me 60% of... Yeah, 996. Thank you. 996. Okay, if I wanted to actually work this out, I would change 60% into what? What could I change it into to actually get this answer? I want an actual answer. Possibly, Jake?
60 over 100.
You can do 60 over 100, reduce that 3/5. Okay, or you can change it to
50.
decimal, 0.6. You can go 0.6 or 3/5, and then multiply by 996. Okay, I'm going to save you a lot of time, a lot of trouble. We want to estimate. So I'm going to do something similar to that, but isn't 996 kind of not a tough number to multiply, but just it takes a lot of time? Can I do anything with that 996 to make this easier to multiply and work out? Betsy?
Can you round up to 1,000?
I think you can. So we're going to make this 1,000. So the problem we're dealing with now is 60% of 1,000. If anyone was paying attention, what fraction represents 60% in simplified form? Simplified form. Give a little bit of time to think about it. You're like, I don't know. Well, if you didn't know, you just think of this and reduce it. So what does that reduce to, Cole? 3/5. So I would use 3/5, and then I would use 1,000. Now, does anyone know what the word of stands for in math? And really, in a lot of, even in English, it stands for this. Peter?
It means like something is like say in a percent problem is something out of something.
Okay, yeah, it's the whole number. Yeah, you're dealing with the whole number. And in this scenario, it's dealing. Can you guys give me? Can you show me the symbol with your hands or your fingers or whatever? Yeah, you can do this, right? Or you can do that. It's times. Means multiply. Can anyone write this problem in the percent proportion? This is review because you have a quiz on Tuesday, which deals with the percent proportion. It might be nice to figure it out. Can anyone write this in the percent proportion? This problem in the percent proportion. So this is good to get review. Nick.
X over 1,000?
No, oh, sorry. X over 1,000 equals,
60 over 100?
which we said was, that's the percent proportion. We did have 60 over 100, but then we made it 3/5. Guess what you would do? Ready? This is what you would do. You would cross multiply, right? And basically you're doing 1,000 times 3 divided by 3 times 1,000 divided by
5.
same problem? See how they're compatible? Just different ways of doing it. Okay, what would you get here? Some people may know, but that's a fraction. You know what you would do here? Davis?
Times, you can make 5 into 1,000.
Yeah, 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 1,000 200 times. And that gives me 600. But how many of you could have said 60% of 1,000 was 600? How many of you could have done that? Good. Then do it. If you're like, how did they do that? Just change it to a fraction, multiply, cancel if possible, you get your 600 that way. Either way is going to be fine. Yes, ma'am?
So we do always use the denominator, but what if it was like if?
Okay. So thankfully we're not going to do is, but if it were is, that number would be up here, and then you do that times 5 divided by 3. So it's kind of like you're doing the reciprocal of that, in a sense. Yeah.
So if it's 60% of 1,000, why wouldn't you just do 60 times 1,000?
Oh, 60 times 1,000 would be 60,000. So you're doing 0.6 times 1,000 is 600. Because right, isn't 0.6 also 60%? You guys see, what I'm trying to do is this, ready? This number means a lot of things. And sometimes it's easy this way, sometimes easier decimal way. Yes, ma'am?
We can do it in our head, and it's pretty easy.
There's a few of them, yes, you may. Yep. Okay, let's do B then. B, and they'll add a little bit more to it, and hopefully we're getting some good strategies. 8% of $58. $58. Okay, what would you want to do to estimate? I don't want the actual answer. I know you can do it, but I want to estimate it. What's one thing you can do, Josh? One thing.
In round $58 to 50.
Okay, good. I could maybe. What's a better rounding on that? 60. 60 is good because you don't want to change it too much or it gets a little bit far off. Anything else you can do on this one? Maybe, possibly, hopefully. Please, Sarah back there.
You can change 8% to 10%.
10%. Yeah, I think that's good. You could have left it 8%, by the way, and work it out. But don't you want these problems to be easy? Yeah. So make them as easy as you can. Now, please don't go overboard and say like, well, can't I change that to 10 and 10% of 10 is 1? Easy? No. The point is you want to be accurate, but you want to make it as easy as possible. Okay, did you have a question, Cole?
Yeah, what did you do 8% of 56 since it goes into 56?
Okay, and that's a great question. So if these two would have been divided, I would say that, but they're being multiplied. Okay, but good question. All right, 10% of 60. Who knows that off the top? Go. What is it? 6. And some of you are like, did they look at the answer? Okay, the answer is $6. But how can somebody who maybe doesn't get that? Can someone change 10% into a fraction? What would 10% be as a fraction? Josh?
1 over 10.
Yep, it'd be 1/10. It'd be, first it'd start off 10 over 100, which reduces to 1/10. Do you guys agree with that? And then what does of mean? Yep, multiply. of 60, which is like over 1. Can you do anything before you multiply? Can you do anything here, Davis?
You can change 10 to 1 and 60 to 6.
And you get 1 times 6, 1 times 1, $6. Same thing. Yes, ma'am.
Why isn't the 1 a 100 because it's always 60? Because never,
Sorry, say that again.
Never mind, I just answered my question.
Okay, great. I didn't even have to do anything on that one. Yes.
Are we gonna go back over the multiplying and dividing like that thing, like
The cross multiplication.
where you like for x of 1,050, that's the one for the last problem. How we like
Do that.
multiplied and then
Okay, let's do it right here real quick. Again, this is good review. Write this in the percent proportion. Go ahead and do it. Do your best to write it in. This problem in the percent proportion. Just write it down. You're like, what's the percent proportion? Hopefully you know. Remember, it's the part over the whole equals percentage over 100. So, okay. And if you did it just strictly with the numbers being used, you'd get 10 over 100, and then the part and the whole, where's 60 go?
on the bottom.
And you got X, I don't know what that is. Can you make life easier by doing this? Okay, so here, the way you would work it out is you cross multiply. What's 8 times 10? Oh, sorry, I had to say 8. X times 10. 10x. 60 times 1. 60. Divide both sides by 10. Well, would you look at that? Do we get the same answer any one of those ways? Yeah, if we're working it out correctly, you're going to get that answer. So you can do a percent proportion, multiplying, or intuitively, maybe you know what 10% of 60 is. Okay, I like this next one because it takes our thought process a step further. It's C. 0.5% or 0.5% of 795. Okay, I'm going to call on someone to tell me what to do with the number. Tell me what to do with the number. Scout. Just not the percentage, the other number, the whole.
So you could round it to 800.
Yeah, 800. Make it easy in your life. 800. Maybe you're looking at that 0.5% thinking to yourself, can I round that to 1%? And I'm going to say, no. Don't round it to 1%. You're going to keep it 0.5%. I know that's kind of mean, but I'll show you why. I'll show you why in just a moment. Okay. You did think of a good number, though, 1%. That's actually pretty good. Can anyone tell me what 1% of 800 is? What's 1% of 800? Jake? 8. That would have been your answer if you made this 1, right? 1% of 800. Does anyone know what 0.5% of 800 is? Just automatically, if you know what 1% of 800 is, you should know what half a percent. Cole? Yeah, you just divide by 2, you get 4. 4. Now you're thinking, Mr. A, you're kind of picky right now. 8 and 4, that's not a big difference. Half a percent. How many of you think that's a significant difference? Like it makes the problem change dramatically with your answer. Okay, some of you are like, you know how much it changes it? It's half, or this number is double that number, right? Is that significant? Let me ask you this right now. Go ask your parents if on interest 0.5% has an effect. And they're gonna be like, yep. You can either go down 0.5% or go up 0.5% on like interest on a home, and that has a big impact. In fact, on most homes, several $100,000. Is that significant? That's not. Okay, and it affects anybody. Okay, so and I shouldn't say several tens of thousands of dollars, which I guess isn't that bad. Okay, anyway, 4 is our answer. I want you guys to work out these problems as easily as you can, but try to get the exact answer. Try to get close to the exact as best you can as well. It's a balancing act. Okay, last one, D. I like D as well. D got even better than that one. It's 109% of 62. Okay. Matt, what would you do with that number? All right, fine, we'll do 60. That's good. By the way, you could have said like maybe 70, but why is 70 maybe not the best choice on that?
It goes up like 8.
Yeah, it goes up by 8. It goes up really almost an eighth of the value, which is significant. So just try to go easy one way or the other depending on the problem. All right. What would you change 109% to, Betsy?
You can either change it to 100 or 110.
Which one's better, you think?
Probably 110.
110 is better. 110 is better because it's closer. And it's not that bad if you think of it this way. Okay, guys. This is where you have to use your thinking caps and see if you agree with me. Okay, how many of you agree that 110% is 100% plus 10%? How many agree that 110% is actually that? You're like, okay, why would you do that? Good, I'm glad you agree with me. Because it's true. And I'll put in parentheses just to show this is that. And of 60. Okay, ready? We're going to break this problem into 2 simple problems. And I hope it's not too bad. And think about your answers before you spit them out, because sometimes I come up to someone and I'm like, all right, what's this of this? And they're like, I don't know. You don't, and maybe when they think about it a little bit more, oh, that's what it is. Ready? Here's one of those questions. What is 100% of 60?
60.
What's 100% of 60?
60.
What's 100% of 60?
60.
60. It's a 60. Like, what's all of 60? Of 60? Wow, I'm starting to use the wrong words. What's all of 60? It's 60. 100% of 60 is 60. Any questions on that? This is the time to debate it. Oh, okay, yes.
It's not on that.
Okay, go ahead.
I know. It's like later on the problem.
Okay, let me get to this. If you have a question, come up. All right, what's 10% of 60?
6.
What do I do with those two? What do I get?
66.
Yep. 110% of 60 is 66. Or 109% of 62 is about 66. Is it exactly 66? No. We round it a lot. But it is about. Yes, Rachel. Okay, go ahead. Ask the question.
I get the 60 part, but
Good.
I don't get the 6.
Okay, do you agree that 100% of 60 is 60? Yes. What's 10% of 60? Okay, you do agree with that. Okay. And what was happening between these two? So what's happening between these two? Does anyone know? Let's see. This is the question. How am I able to do that? There's a... Oh, my heart is now overjoyed. You said distributed property. Aren't these being added and then multiplied by a number? So you're doing 60 times 100%, 60 times 10%, boom, boom. That's what you're doing. I know. It's
Wait, why'd you say 60 times 100?
percent.
Oh.
60 times 100% is 60, and 60 times 10% is 6. And does anyone know how 100% can be written as a fraction? It's a good question here because you're going to see it possibly. What is 100% as a fraction? 1. It's just 1. So it's 60 times 1. 60 times 1. Sorry, I'm not trying to trick you here. And what's 10% as a fraction? 1/10? What's 60 times 1/10? So we're not making these up. Okay. Let me explain the homework before I give it to you because I don't want you to be confused. Okay, look at page 464. Okay, that first section, 18 to 21. So I'm not giving you your homework yet. 18 to 21. Choose the best estimate. They gave you 3 choices. One of them is correct. You can round one or both those numbers and see which A, B, or C fits it best. You guys okay with that? By the way, what's your probability of getting it right if you just guessed? 1 out of,
33.
okay, 33% or 1 out of 3. So that's your probability. Okay, 22 to 29. Write the fraction, mixed number, or whole number you could use to estimate. So you're like, what? Let's look at 22. What would you round 67% to? There are really two of them that you can give me. What would you round it to, Jake?
65 or 70.
Okay, I'm gonna start with 70 because I think that's the easiest one, right? 70%. And how would you write 70% as a fraction?
So you have 100.
Which reduces to 7/10. That's what I wanted. So get that percent that's close. Get the fraction that's equivalent to that percent you chose. That's what you're doing on 22 to 29. But on number 22, you could have said something else. Let's see if anyone can think about it. It's a common fraction that we use a lot, represented by 67%. No, it is one of those, though. Not a fourth or a half, but
6,700.
2/3. What? How'd you get 2/3? 67%, isn't that 66 over 100? Or 67 over 100? Which is actually going to be your 2/3. Some of you may know that, some of you may not. It's okay. Go with the 7/10. That's fine. Can you do number 24? What would you round 18% to as a percent first? 20%. What would 20% be as a fraction? 2/10, which becomes 1/5. That's your answer, 1/5. Okay. 30 to 38. They're wanting you to do basically what we did right here. You can round one or both numbers and then change them into fractions, multiply across, use a percent proportion. You can do whatever you want on that. Okay, 39 to 47. This is the one I want to work with you a little bit. Look at number 40 real quick. Do you guys see where it says 8 out of 35? 8 out of 35. Do you guys see that? Okay, can someone give me the ratio that's represented here? The ratio. It's not too bad. Sarah?
Isn't it 8
Oh, okay, you can say 8 to 35. Yeah, and maybe to make it easier, 8 over 35. Okay, I want to estimate a percent that 8 over 35 would be. So I have many options here. What would you do, Sarah, back there?
I would put 35 and 40 and then leave 8 as it is because it goes in 45 times.
So you'd say, you'd change it, and actually I need to write this. Have you guys ever seen this? Approximate, yeah. So, yeah, the many answers you can give me. Okay, so 8 out of 40, which is 1/5, which is what percent? 20%. That's one way to do it. That's one answer. Is that the only answer? Absolutely not. Okay, Nick said 8 over 32. That's random. What's 8 over 32 simplified? Which one's right? Okay, good. You can do either way there. And there are other ways to do it, but this is what you need to show me. If you're going to go this way, show it to me. If you're going to go this way, show it to me. Don't just put an answer because you know what? A lot of the odd ones are already there. So I don't need, yeah, I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so do you have to do thinking on these problems?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good. Okay, goodbye, Swivl.